Hello there.
Hi Shiva,
So
good
lovely to
morning.
see
How are
you.
you
Good
doing?
morning, and so lovely to see you here. And thank you for coming and having a brew with me on Coffee and Soul. I'm delighted to host you, Uday.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me on your show. It's been something that I've been seeing for a while, and I'm so happy that I'm on this.
Lovely. I'm delighted to have you with me. So you have your cup of coffee with you, Uday?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all right
All
here.
right, and let me pour myself mine.
And unlike a lot of cappuccinos or black coffee, this is the South Indian filter coffee,
Lovely,
but
lovely.
in a very ultra chic mug. I didn't want to spoil that part of the show for you by getting it in a stainless steel glass.
No, this show is all about diversity of all kinds. So it would have been actually, it would have added. If you had even got an earthen cup, that would have been fabulous. So, yeah. Well,
Cheers.
cheers and here's to life, Uday,
Thank
and to
you.
you and your journey as you go on. And I'm wishing you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you, Shiva.
Yeah, oh boy. Yes. Okay. Can I ask you to hold your cup of coffee in your hands and just nestle it between your palms? Feel the warmth. Yeah, lovely, lovely. And if you can just close your eyes and sit back with it. Keep your eyes closed and tell me what comes up for you. What do you see?
Very strange. I really don't see anything, but I kind of hear a lot of things,
Yeah.
and I probably want to share that. And this is just about what we were discussing just pre-recording. Life's a lot of transition, and the the whole thing about wanting to let go at the right point of time and getting off. I was listening to a Tim Ferriss podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one of my favorite podcasters,
Yes.
and this was a couple of months ago, and he was talking to an author called David Sear, who's a US author
Mm.
and the type A kind of a guy, very alpha.
Mm.
And so this David Sear was talking about a time in his life when he decided that he wanted to get back to fitness.
Okay.
Right? He said, "Let me get back, and I want to really kind of get back to top level fitness." And he says, "Let me take up cycling." He
Okay.
stays in that Santa Monica area, in the Bay Area,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so he picks up the top end exercise bike, gets his helmets, gloves, and he starts cycling. And like the type A or the A type guy, whatever you call, he only knows only one way, right? I mean, flat out on the pedals,
Yeah.
pedaling every day. And he pedals so hard
Mm.
that he kind of does the 25-kilometer or the 25-mile circuit in the first day. And he's pooped. He
Yeah.
just really do. And he does it in 43 minutes.
Wow.
And then he does it every day, goes flat out. Every day he goes in the morning at 6 o'clock, pedals like the life depended on it. He wants to get back to fitness and he does it. And every day he returns back with a timing of 43 minutes plus or minus a couple of seconds. And he keeps going on for a while. And as you know, when people go, and I'm not a great exercise freak, but what I'm saying is that when you actually go on for a while like this, at some point of time you will reach a breakdown, and you will
Yeah.
reach that happened to David himself. One morning he got up and said, "Oh, I can't really do this today.
Mm.
My legs." And every night he used to come back just collapse
Mm.
because the sheer pushing of it. So that morning he kind of decides he's having a bit of green tea and deciding, okay, how can I break this? I can't break this, right? So let me still go today. I don't want to bunk the cycling today.
Mm.
And then he decides, okay, let me just do it the way I want to do.
Mm.
Let me get it half the pace,
Mm.
50% of my normal speed, and let me just go and do whatever I can. And then he tells his wife, and then he gets on his bike, just puts on the cap, and then starts cycling at what he thought was his 50% pace. And then he starts going around. And as he's cycling out, he suddenly realizes, hey, there's this new building out here. It's a green red building. I didn't know this. And then he moves a bit forward. He sees a park, a lot of children playing there,
Mm. Mm.
shrieking, jumping,
Uh,
laughing. He said,
uh,
wow, this is fun. And someone is waving at him. And then he kind of moves across the Santa Monica Bay Area, the road, and then he looks at the seashore, and suddenly he spots a couple of dolphins jumping over, and he's thrilled. And then there is a point where he has to take a U-turn. And as he's taking U-turn back home, then he sees a flock of pelicans on the
Yes.
bay, and
Yes.
they just flutter up and go
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And he comes back and he's suddenly feeling rejuvenated, refreshed. And he comes back home and he kinds of parks himself in this place where the cycle is kept. And he's so happy. He's always pooped up when he comes home, always,
Mm,
but this
mm,
time he's feeling refreshed and
mm,
happy. He says, "Wow, that was the greatest ride I've
mm.
ever had." Uh, and then he says, "Let me look at the time." And then he looks at a stop clock and it says 45 minutes.
Wow. Just look at
Okay. Every time he goes flat out,
yes. Yes.
kills himself on the cycle, comes back pooped and falls down, he did it at 43 minutes. He thought he was going at 50% of the pace.
Mm,
He's had the ride of his life.
mm.
He's ready to go. And he can't believe that the stop clock is saying 45 minutes. 2 minutes. When this podcast, that story was told by him,
Mm,
uh, kind of hit me like a ton of bricks or
mm,
whatever. And I kind of stopped it. I didn't go further. And it almost felt that it was kind of uh, talking to me.
mm,
That uh, sometimes in life you kind of hold a lot of things to you and say that this is the way it has to be, and if it doesn't, I'll not be able to really do what I have. If I start enjoying my life, or if I really do what I want to do,
mm,
I'll probably not really get all the things. And all this guy had to do was to kind of give up 2 minutes of the time, which in the larger sequence of life and the day is insignificant, right? uh, and that kind of hit me hard. That kind of the reason I remembered right now is this because I'm right now here in Bangalore in my home, nice, lovely weather. I'm kind of looking
Bangalore
at,
weather.
I'm kind of looking at what is there ahead in life. I have a choice to pick 24 years, or rather almost 25 years of work life, uh, and now I get to choose the path that I have. I'm spending a good time with the family, and boy, it's not as if. And I'm wondering, why did I agonize over this decision for such a long
Mm,
time?
mm,
Uh,
mm,
I was always scared. I was always scared as what is it that is going to let go.
mm.
So as I held the cup and I nestled, that's a dominant thought right now of being in a place where I am happy and looking forward to what comes ahead.
Absolutely. And it's amazing that you say this with the story. And I have to say, Uday, you're such a marvelous storyteller. So this has to begin with a story. And I was mesmerized listening to the way that you took us through the whole thing and the learning thereof, no? That it's just 2 minutes, the difference, and how much more he gains by letting that 2 minutes happen, and then your own take on how what it means for you and where are you today. So let, this brings me very nicely to my next question, is that take me through your journey, your life, the highs, the lows, defining moments. And I know you're sitting at one of your defining moments right now,
Huh, yeah.
but just what it has been like with it, and you can pepper it with as many little stories as you like.
It's amazing that yeah, all of us are mesmerized. Storytelling is something which is really big now. Everyone talks
Yeah,
about it,
yeah,
but it's so amazing that it's probably the most ancient. It is the ancient skill that every human being
yeah.
automatically knows. Every mother feeds the child looking at the moon, and a life
Mm,
starts with the story, probably ends with the story. Yeah, but somewhere I kind of realized that a lot of this part plays a role in my life when I started connecting a lot of these dots
mm,
a couple of years ago. But just to quickly do, I come from Vizag, the coastal city of Vizag. It continues to be my favorite city. Although I've been in Bangalore, come from parents. My father's been with the State Bank for a long time, uh, uh, and he was the typical government worker. He was
mm.
a banker, but he had a great sense of humor. It's a rare combination, right?
I noticed the butt when you said a banker butt.
Yeah, and he had, and I think, and I probably learned the first set of stories from him. Mom's been a doctor. They had a great, they had a great chemistry. They had a fantastic love marriage. It's a
Mm,
secret. It's one of the best kept secrets. We don't know much about it, but it's been there. Uh, and we grew up three brothers, nice small town. My best memories are of school, really.
mm,
And again, the best memories that I have right now is about what has just happened. And and the reason I say this is because memories have a strange way. You tend to remember the beginning, you tend to remember what just happened. The middle sort of fades.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
it's the same with me.
mm,
Uh, I think that one of the best memories, the earliest possible memories, is what I have in school was I was this massive school fan,
mm.
and anything which was there, extra work, any program, I was the one volunteering. Miss, I'll stay back.
Really?
I remember in the third standard, I was in the junior school, and there was some craft work to be done for some open house the next day, and I kind of
Mm,
stayed back. And the teacher called up my mother. And those days, there were no cell phones, right? So,
mm, mm,
uh, and my father was in the bank, and my mom was worried that I guess this bugger will not have any food. So my
mm,
father, the earliest memory that I remember is when uh, at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, school's finished at 1:30. My father comes with a huge carriage of food, walking in a safari suit into the school to give it to me. And I'm saying, oh God, why did they bring all of this? I'm going to be so embarrassed. And when I opened, there was this typical South Indian rava laddu. There
Yes.
is a bit of sambar and all of that. And quite strangely, when my father passed away in 2015, and that's another defining moment in my life, and I lost him. Um, a couple of days later, when we were doing all that ceremonies, that was a defining image which came back to me. My father walking in with the carriage,
Mm,
and while a lot of the loss when he actually passed away did not really make me break down,
mm,
but that was the moment which kind of it just broke me down when I remembered it.
mm, mm, mm,
Yeah, so that was one. Then I kind of became a school captain. We had all that stuff. And then
mm,
much later, in 25 years later, we did the school reunion. I'm wearing the t-shirt, actually, the school reunions t-shirt that I've actually had. So that was good, great fun moment. A lot of other things happened. The first time I got a job
mm,
in Eveready,
mm,
and I was that's my biggest introduction to sales. My the sales head at that point of time said, so we had a great induction in Calcutta where we are put in a five-star suit for the
mm,
first 8 days. It's an
mm,
FMCG company,
mm,
and on the 10th day I was given my posting as I was supposed to be posted in one of those towns in West Bengal,
mm,
the Badwan district in West Bengal, a
mm.
place called Vishnupur. Okay, uh, I'm from South India. I didn't probably, I did my management in Tapni in Manipal. I kind of looked at the Howrah. I kind of asked the travel agent, is the ticket available? He said, no, sir, this is a second class, first class, nothing is available. So I walked up to my boss, the sales head at that time. I asked him, boss, abhi tickets kuch hai nahi. Maybe a couple of days later I'll go. He looked at me like this and said, Uday Kiran, shove up your butt in the general compartment right now and call me tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. 9 o'clock, you're doing the market visit. And I was stunned, right? So I just
Yeah.
kind of quickly put down the bag, quietly walked off at the Howrah station, sat in that compartment. The next morning, I find myself in Vishnupur. And the next 15 days, I was to spend there. I love sales. And the next part of my entire journey was in with three great companies. I've currently work with Samsung, but all through the while, there's so many sales stories. And somewhere I think this entire thing of working with a lot of people, traveling across the country, multiple cultures. I stayed a
Mm,
couple of years in Colombo as well,
mm,
and then the marriage and the kids. Yeah, it's been good. But one of the things that I've always not missed is the joy of trivia, the joy of the reading books, and yeah, I mean, I think I got to really thank my parents a lot for that, and
Mm,
also eclectic set of friends,
mm, mm,
cricket. So a lot of these things, a lot of, I think a lot of people who've grown up in that age that I have done will kind of resonate with all the experience that we had. Just to cut a long story short, I mean, I like a typical storyteller. I've told everything else but the highs and lows, but pretty
These are the
much.
highs. These are the highs and lows.
I
These
think the
are.
smaller. I think I've taken. I'm not going to be one of those guys who say I don't have great highs. I think I've had a lot of great highs and moments. There are personal moments, but I've been one of those guys who've folks who've kind of learned to take life the way it comes. I've made a lot of mistakes. I would have hurt a lot of people, and also I've got a lot of joy from a lot of people.
Mm.
But it's a spontaneity. It is living in the moment is what I'm trying to do, and that gives me a lot of
And that is
happiness.
so real and so authentic, Uday. You know, and that's the thing that comes out about you is your authenticity. You know, one would think person in sales. There is a typical kind of a stereotype, yeah, that comes into your head. But uh, and you defy that, yeah, with your interests and the way that you respond, particularly when you talk about living with in the flow. And so tell me what and I do want to say this, everybody is a salesperson, so I don't want to take away at all from every one
Absolutely.
of us, yeah. God is the
Yeah.
biggest one of them, apparently. There's a great book, and I will talk about this at another point in time. Og Mandino, I think, who says God is the greatest salesman or something like that. A very, very
Yeah.
interesting book. But what made you gravitate towards sales? Obviously, there was a huge connect. What was it?
Yeah. No, for example, you know, so I got my first job from in Eveready from the campus,
Mm,
and it's one of the 1 minute stories that I talked about. Uh, so it was a very difficult year in 1998, where the whole thing was happening, and job scene was bad. So we were all preparing for group discussion and interview. Campus placement was supposed to be in January. Pramod, a friend of mine, was a good friend of mine who's going to help me debate a lot of these things. And at that time, if you remember, there was something called the VDIS, Voluntary Disclosure Income Scheme. Okay?
yes, yes,
Chidambaram had launched it. It's basically
yes.
30%. I mean, you don't have to pay tax for the, if you all for not tax defaulters, you have to just pay 30% of the money into the bank of what you thought was your tax, and you would go scot free.
Mm,
So we decided that okay, this can be a potential topic because the government has done that. So let's debate on that. And I was debating, he was debating, and I lost it because he thumped me in the debate.
mm.
And then what happens? 3 days later, I was sitting in the Eveready interview. The same boss who had told me to shove up my butt inside the general compartment, he was the one who announced BDIS, boon or bane. Typical GDs in management school are always like this, boon or
Right,
bane.
correct.
Okay, and 15 people, and GDs are killer places. I
Yeah,
mean, people desperate for jobs, and everyone's jumped into the fray, killing each other.
yeah.
I was not even able to get a talk, and that's when about halfway time I realized I had to butt in. And that's when I remembered what Pramod said was a very important point in the debate,
Mm,
a story that he said.
mm,
And I said, look, guys, uh, my father has been, I got a minutes of silence and I just butted with this. And I said, look,
mm,
my father has been with the State Bank of India for the last 25 years, as an honest government servant. And I've known him struggling to earn money and keep his family afloat. And he
mm,
always paid income tax. He
mm,
never missed it.
mm,
Okay. He always paid. And today, the government announces a scheme where even if you really didn't work, or even if you really got the money by whatever means, you can get away by just paying 30%.
mm.
How fair is it for the people who've been really working hard? There's a lot of stunned silence when I made it. People didn't know. And then honestly, Shiva, I didn't have to talk for the next 10 minutes because the next 10 minutes, the whole debate was about this.
Yes, exactly. Oh, wow. That I can imagine. It was,
Okay.
yes, it was a paradigm shifting moment for you.
And yeah, and I got the job.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then a couple of months later, I was doing the market visit, and my boss was like, Raman, and he's a good friend of mine. He still is in Bangalore. He said, Uday, you know what? The story you told on that day in the GD, that changed it for you.
Mm,
And I got the job in Eveready, and then I got into sales. Honestly, I really didn't know that I was getting into sales, or for that
mm,
matter, I
mm,
knew marketing. I had elected marketing and sales, but what you learn is sales and marketing in the management school is not anything what you see
mm,
in the real field. Uh, mm, I was traveling in Eveready vans into deep parts of
yeah,
Kalahandi, Orissa. I had five-star chocolate bars to just keep me, and because the only thing that people ate there, it seemed, was machar jhol, with the typical
yes, of course.
with with not even peeled up aloo, half boiled aloo inside the water with rice and fish, of course. And here he was a guy, staunch South Indian, getting up in the morning, doing a bit of prayer, and then eating a Cadbury's chocolate. I was totally out of the place. But
But
I
you
grew
must have
into the
been,
sales.
yeah, must have been huge learnings there.
I grew into sales. I really loved the whole thing, the whole thing of numbers. And then I moved to Punjab. Then I worked in Amritsar in deep technique hold, where there were Sardarjis who used to ensure that I was not market fit by making me drink half a glass of lassi and nice paneer paratha in the morning. And then what do you want to go to the market after that? You can't, right? But in the midst of all, I think I got solid grounding as a leader, interacting with people. And I think that was kind of very important for me in the way in which I learned to listen to people.
Mm,
You had, I was working with a lot of salespeople who didn't come from privileged backgrounds.
mm,
Today, you have a sales team which is full of MBAs and
mm.
stuff. Those guys worked their way up for 30 years or 20 years selling as salesmen, and you could learn the life experiences from them. You
Sure.
knew what is the hardship. You knew what it took to convince a guy. You can convince an MBA with the logic or an Excel sheet. You cannot convince a guy who's worked on the field with logic. You
Mm,
got to hit him on his emotion, or you have to get that mental buy-in.
mm,
I think that's where I picked up a lot of that initial part of storytelling. And then I moved in, and I was fortunate enough to then work with Wipro.
mm,
It's another organization which taught me a lot of entrepreneurship, owning up responsibility. That's where I kind of started scaling up. So, to cut a long story short, again, my love for sales was fairly organic. It grew over a period
mm,
of time. And I
mm,
loved the whole challenge of backing it up.
mm.
Great cricket fan. So, I used to kind of look at a typical one day match and say, okay, 10 overs, 100 runs to win. We used to say 5 days, 200 crores more to build. So we used to kind of back ourselves like that. And we used to kind of take the challenge. There were times where we used to dump stocks, retailers used to come. A lot of things. For example, sales teaches you a lot of things. A lot of times the customer does. In my line of work, a lot of times we didn't really give what the customer wants. Unlike
Mm.
Steve Jobs, we gave more than the customer wants. अगर वो 10 पेटी soaps का order दिया था, so we used to give him 100 cases because we need the target.
Yeah, that's right. That's
But
right.
then, but then a senior salesman taught me that look, you do the wrong thing. You do the sales, but you have the guts to go and talk to that guy in the front and say, own it up. Look, I've done that, but I will ensure that you will not lose out. So the ability to confront a challenge, a lot of it kind of grew. And today, if I'm able to get it all together, I understand that most companies have a lot of resources for process
Mm,
and they have great Excel sheets.
mm,
But I think one of the biggest challenges that they have is to get folks to uh, really behave
mm,
or work in a manner in which they can get that emotional buy-in.
mm,
A lot is said about emotional buy-in, but I think the biggest challenge is communication
mm,
and the way you connect with people.
mm.
And that's where I think I bring in a whole lot of. Uh, I'm able to connect a lot of these dots.
Yeah, yeah, and that's amazing and actually very beautiful. So when you talk about that, it's really that you what you're saying is your expertise lies in being able to connect with people, uh, or with with the emotions, with connect with them with the heart, or I suppose make no. Let me not second guess you. Tell me, what is that? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing, the ability to connect with people. At some point of time, I realized that one of my bosses came back and told me that, look, there you're very good with people, uh, but in sales and when you go to the top levels, the 1 percentile, you got to be this. You also have to be seen as this unpopular leader, or you have to also be this hard taskmaster. And somewhere I didn't relate with it. That's
Mm,
the reason when I kind of moved to the higher echelons of
mm,
management,
mm,
I realized that there is a lot more that I could do,
mm,
and that's when I started looking at uh, how do I become more empowering with people and give them responsibility. I had the guts. I learned a lot of people used to come back to me and say, "How did you have the guts to back a guy who has not been doing it?" And I said, "Look, uh, you got to give people a chance, and you got to let people make mistakes."
mm,
Uh, that's my idea of leadership, right? I mean, why are you as a leader if you got either you have to do everything
mm.
or you get the best team?
Right.
Then I don't think that's great leadership. I think great leadership is all about uh, carrying with the team and making the whole. It's a strong underdog spirit. I'm a great fan of David and Goliath and all that stuff. So yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot of that has kind. You're right. The other thing which I also think has been my strength, and I'm kind of hoping to leverage and will do it, is about articulation and communication, right?
Mm, mm, mm,
And the reason I mean the reason I say it's a strength is because Shiva, uh, and not just in sales, across today, I think a lot of people don't. Uh, we are the stories we tell ourselves,
yes.
the whole
Yes.
narrative,
Yes.
right? And I've seen and I've suffered it myself when I kind of didn't believe that I was not good enough.
Mm,
I was good enough. You kind of behave the way you think, and there is a lot more to it. I think this is good. When you read it in a management textbook or in a self-help journal, be yourself. People don't understand what it is to be yourself. I didn't understand for a long time. I am still trying to figure out what it is to be myself, right?
yeah. Yeah.
It's a very difficult thing. But so when I became a coach, or rather when I started to get coach training, the biggest thing they say in coaching is that understand the why.
Mm,
The why is the most important thing. It's
mm,
almost like the big golden letters, like
yes.
why of the, and every coach gets this high of why. And I used to wonder, so you've understood why, but as I progressed beyond a point of time, I realized that if you ask why, you never get a story.
Mm,
You get a reason.
mm,
Uh, and for a long time, I was wondering. I don't give advice. I can't give advice as a coach. I can't. I'm only supposed to make the other person come out with all my intelligent questions. How does this happen? And somewhere, I was also confused that if I'm a coach, how do I tie all my 25 years of sales and marketing and business experience together? That's where the penny landed with me on stories.
mm.
So when I now ask someone about, tell me when is the last time you saw a leader in this company take a bold decision, I get a story out of it.
Mm, mm, mm. Brilliant. I think that is so powerful. Uday, uh, I think yeah, I thought you for a second you'd frozen.
No, I'm
Yeah,
here.
yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that is just so amazing. The other thing that I just, and while we are conversing, just want to also say that, new coaching and new paradigms in coaching no longer say that you cannot tell people.
Yeah, yeah,
And you co-create reality. You are
absolutely.
co-creators. And
Sure.
so I mean, why I'm saying this, and I'm using this opportunity to say this, because there'll be, not just you and me, but there'll be
Yeah, a lot
people
of others
listening.
listening to it.
So we need to understand that it's moved, and together, through stories, through co-creation, through sharing your experiences, we do something more in coaching now. So more power to you, because it's come to you so instinctively and so beautifully.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think I kind of realized it organically.
Yeah.
A lot of times I used to sit in the interview and people used to say, tell me what specifically you did that showed your leadership. And I used to flounder. And I said, oh my God, how
Mhm.
do I think about it? we all think we don't have anything great to say, but I can only tell you that all of us have great stories.
Yes.
uh, and it's about the right kind of questions. So don't get so bogged about the why part of it. Sometimes as a coach, or as a person who's working with it, ask someone what happened. I think that's the most important question that you can ask. And suddenly, what people can't tell you in a lot of management talk comes in the form of a story. uh, just a 30-second thing. When I first joined Wipro,
Mm,
one of the first things that I heard in
mm.
Wipro was that Wipro, Wipro, the Tumkur factory, or I think one of the
Yeah.
factories, they didn't get the 6 months of the BM, or maybe the Bangalore office. One of the offices, the electricity was cut for them for 6 months, and Azim Premji ran it with a generator. And then I had to ask why.
Mm, mm.
And that's a part of the story because you'll have to get into the why, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then they said he refused to pay a bribe. And the bribe was a very paltry $500. And Azim Premji said that, look, I'm going to pay. I'm on the right side. You guys give it to me whenever you want. And 6 months later, those BMPP officials, the electricity officials were embarrassed and they had to go. Now, when the story was told to me when I joined Wipro, I didn't need to know, I didn't need to be told that one thing which is valued the most in this organization is integrity. I
Integrity.
didn't need to be told that.
Mm,
That story was good enough for me,
mm,
right?
mm.
So I think it's so this is where it organically fell into my
Yeah,
thing that stories are great to move values. They are great to make a point.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, is there an adage you live by? Uh, or other than a couple? But is there something that it's your like your go-to thought or your go-to inspiration? Is there something like that?
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult thing to suddenly. I admire people who can suddenly come out with some great stuff.
You're,
But at
yeah.
this point of time, no, yeah, I think I take a lot of inspiration. So, so for me, if there is one thing which I would always tell people is let's keep talking.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, let's keep communicating, and I think that's
Mm,
the most powerful thing that I would always. That's a credo that I have.
mm,
Um, I understand silence. I understand Thich Nin and all other people who talk about the power of silence and meditation. But I think a lot of souls in this world are desperate to be heard,
of course.
and there is a whole lot of uh, suppression of thought, and there's a lot that you can talk over a coffee. There's a lot which can happen over a cup of tea, uh, also over a drink, right? So yeah, so if I have to kind of, so that's one part. Let's
Mm.
keep talking, and that's something which I keep telling my children, I keep telling my friends, and a lot of
Oh,
people.
there I'm coming in here. That's the name of your book, possibly.
The other thing which I yeah, thank you so much, and inshallah, as I say, let's do that. The other thing which really comes to me very strongly is um, again coming back to the metaphor of stories, and I hope there's not an overdose of stories out here. But for me, stories help us to understand that you are not a single. Uh, you're not just one type of an individual. I
Mm,
believe that we've got multitudes in all of us.
mm,
We are not reductive.
mm,
I mean today, and that's what Lumina also tells us, right? You could be an
mm,
extrovert and then you could be an introvert. But I've seen
mm,
it happening. You could be a great cricket love. You could go to a cricket match and shout the hell out for a Virat Kohli and behave like a hoodlum there. But you probably come back and say that, look, I need my space and I
mm,
want to do that.
mm,
You could support the BJP
mm,
or any other government, but you could
mm,
also see something else in the entire secular thought.
mm,
Uh, so I think we all contain multitudes as much as that. For example, this cup could contain coffee today. It could
mm,
contain something else tomorrow.
mm, mm,
And it is for me to understand that I'm okay with it. But I think the bigger problem is that when I see you, Shiba, and if I see something else in your cup other than a coffee, am I in a position to kind of say that that's okay for me?
mm, mm,
And
mm,
I think that's something which uh, is what I call the whole thing of the ability to tolerate a lot of multitudes. And I think stories help that a lot.
Yeah.
It kind of helps you to kind of, when you listen to people's stories, you
Mm,
understand that this guy comes from this space.
mm,
And I don't know if story coach is what really makes sense, but when I listen to a lot of people, I understand from where they come from, and I understand that, and it helps me appreciate and connect with them at that level, and just
right.
kind of help them to move the way.
Yeah. I think that is amazing because it's also about how you look at diversity, right? And how you look at how you enhance your own and others' perspectives through their stories and through your own stories to move to a space of much more acceptance.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and I
Mm,
think that's the whole. So these are the two broad themes that I
yeah.
am seemingly tending towards
Yeah.
at this point of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there could be
That
many more.
sounds lovely. Sounds really really good. Story coach. That sounded very good as well. So that's almost like a niche you're carving for yourself. You know. And
Help people discover their own stories is one way of looking at it,
yeah.
right? And uh, interesting. I don't know. One of the things that one of the images when I say it comes out very strongly for me is when I used to look at these presentations that we have to make for sales, and I used to sit in front of the Excel sheet, and half the time I'm just looking at them and seeing that is data ko how do I show? Should I show it
Yeah.
as a bar graph or should I show
Yeah.
it as a pie graph?
Yes.
You know, one of the biggest problems of management education, or for that matter, any kind of education, is that we are just not prepared for what we have to do to earn money or sustain ourselves.
That's true.
Yeah, and today I've been guilty of this. I've been guilty of this feedback to a lot of my team members. You know, there's a guy called Ranjit. Ranjit, you need to really make an impression. You really need to have a presence. तुमको impression जमाना पड़ेगा. But I've never ever gone and told people or helped them to figure out how to do that. A
Mm,
presentation बढ़िया बना है. Presentation बढ़िया banana is what? Fantastic colors and popping and slideshows? No, I think. Uh, and today I see a lot of my superiors giving feedback to the reviews when I'm sitting on the sidelines looking at the process. What is the point of this slide? Story banao. Tell me a
mm,
story. Those guys are befuddled. Yeah.
mm.
So I think it's clearly it's clearly a huge blind spot, not just for sales or marketing or a lot of other people, but I think the ability to connect a lot of dots and to figure out why are we doing it. I think comes down to communication. That's why I keep saying let's keep talking because uh, we are very scared of asking for help,
Yeah.
and we are very scared of asking others. Somewhere we think that we will figure it out.
Yeah.
YouTube में देख लूंगा या somewhere else. But
Yeah.
uh, these are
Absolutely.
the areas.
Yeah. And if I would you say then this is your unique lens, the unique lens that Uday brings to as a gift to everybody? To
Love to think so.
yeah.
And it's been a journey for me. I would have probably not sounded so confident or so articulate about it like I want to tell people that I was as lost or who was going to listen to it. I've been absolutely lost in what I wanted to do. Uh, did I get into sales by choice? No, I got into sales by accident. Did I get my promotions because I did fantastic hard work in sales? No, a lot of times I was lucky. Did I move this thing into coach? Uh, I can be very, very clear and openly say that when I got into this assignment of behavior and things and I looked at coaching, I was as naive as believing that if I finish my ACC or if I finish my coaching, I can put it on my biodata and get a new job. I was as naive of it as it were when I began this whole process in 2018. When I connected with Rahul and understood Lumina, I thought that this is going to give me a entry into CEO rooms to help them to do psychometric. I started from there, right?
Mm,
Uh, the good part of unlearning is that uh, it's the good part of unlearning is that it has to happen in everyone's life.
mm.
But unlearning cannot happen unless you learn all the wrong things. So it's a good thing that you learn the wrong things and then do everything. So probably I'm a lot better off of learning it the hard way in the last 2 3 years of of not being reject of not being. Even I wanted to become a vice president, say, and my boss told me that you're not cut out for it. लेकिन ये देख ले, ये थोड़ा अच्छा है तेरे लिए, but this is a long course. And then I asked him, look, if I take all this people behavior and all, what will happen? A lot of it can happen, but I'm not very sure if it can happen in this organization. Then I was very worried. I said, I'll be out of the limelight. Then he said, who's your favorite cricketer? He said, I said, Sachin Tendulkar. He said, what are the top three things that Sachin you remember him for? I said, great cricketer, great batsman, great human being. He said, then what do you think about his captaincy? So I told him, I thought Sachin was a terrible captain. And in fact, when he was giving up his captaincy, he was very upset about giving up his captaincy and what people thought. Then he said, no, you said it. If Sachin was bothered about giving up his captaincy and did give up his captaincy, he would have not become the great captain that he was right now. Sometimes you got to chart your own course. And yeah, that kind of landed. So I was fortunate to have a lot of people who, in their own way, helped me to kind of figure out and let me do a lot of these things. But I'm speaking like a guy who's achieved a lot of things. I'm still at the precipice of beginning a new journey. Yeah, but coming back, I sound confident because, like that David Sear guy, when I talked about, I'm happy with the 45 minutes now. I'm not killing myself for the 43 minutes. So that's all.
And it's a beautiful thing that we started there and we're closing there, to bringing it all to full circle. It's fabulous. But Uday, thank you so much for your time and for sharing yourself so openly and so unreservedly. And I think that is, there are lots of gems and nuggets you've thrown into this conversation. And it may not seem like that for you, but it's just the authenticity of a life and the ability to take some next steps, and also to be looking at what you're going to be doing now in terms of helping people identify their own stories and work with them through that. I think that is tremendous. So I wish you all the best in that. And I know you have something to say. Go ahead with it.
Thank you for enabling this conversation. It wouldn't have happened. I met you a couple of years ago when we did that Lumina certification together. I've
Yes,
been
that's
wanting to
right.
have a chat with you always. And little did I imagine that the first conversation we will have would be in this form. And I'm so glad for this. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
It's been wonderful, Uday, and I've been wanting to talk to you, and I've also been very fascinated by your journey. Every now and then, I've been watching you on LinkedIn, some of the, and through, of course, Lumina, and also your emphasis on stories and storytelling and the way that you go about it. So I'm delighted to host you, and thank you so much for spending and time with me and having a soul brew with me. You take
Thank you
care,
for
and
Soul Brew and wish you all the best. Many more great conversations out here
thank you
and all
so
the best.
much. Thank you. Thank you so much. You take care.